In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, dear colleagues, dear attendees, peace be upon you all. In this Ramadan evening, our talk will be about the interplay, the cultural interplay between Arab and African cultures regarding the customs and rituals of Ramadan in Africa. This cultural interplay that is considered a heritage for between the Muslim African peoples and the Arab peoples, this interplay, we see it and we find it in a number of fields and number of aspects like the linguistic part, the values part, and the cultural part in general. And this refers to the common ground of culture. Maybe the most important of them is the religious ties that connect all of these aspects. And this cultural interplay on the level of values and customs appears in a number of occasions, especially the religious occasions. And maybe one of the most important religious occasions that these cultural interplays are evident is the month of Ramadan, the holy month of Ramadan. And here today, we are receiving a an elite of speakers from Africa, from the sub-Saharan Africa, to speak about this topic. And each of the speakers will be speaking about this interplay between the different Arab and African cultures based on their own experiences in their own countries. The colleagues who are going to participate with us are from Benin, Dr. Widad Al-Naibi, and from Niger, Dr. Salou Al-Hassan, from Cote d'Ivoire, Dr. Idris Yao, and from Senegal, Professor Aisha Khan, and from Ghana, Dr. Ahmed Al-Haj Abdullah. We're going to start our night event now, night event with giving the first speech to Dr. Widad, and we hope that the rest of the colleagues will put their phones on mute, and only Dr. Widad will be speaking so that we can listen to her clearly. And each of the colleagues has 15 minutes, around 15 minutes, according to the topic and the time that is allowed. After all interventions are ending, after the end of all speeches, we're going to start the discussion and the Q&A, and we have a good number of attendees from different African and Arab countries as well. Dr. Dad, can you hear me? Yes, Doctor, I can hear you. We can start with you, Dr. Widad. Go ahead. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, all praise to Allah, peace and blessings be upon the Prophet Muhammad, his family and companions. Peace be upon you all. A good year and a blessed Ramadan for all of you. May Allah accept all of our prayers and deeds and good deeds and opens his doors of grace and mercy for all of us. And may Allah elevate our nation and rescue us from all sadness and provide mercy for all people who need it with his might and mercifulness. It is a good opportunity for me to participate with King Faisal Center for Research and Islamic Studies. And it is no secret that the logo and the motto of the center and what all that we see on Facebook and the awards that they give to people who exert a lot of efforts, this is something encouraging for all of us. And when I was contacted by the center, I was very happy because the center is a prestigious, remarkable entity, and we are happy to be participating with you, be communicating with you with in a program or any kind of engagement. So thank you for giving me this opportunity. I'm proud to be speaking with you here today. Another point is that the month of Ramadan in Benin is a special occasion. We have many entities, and this creates a good month Ramadan experience in which we have the Islamic values and with the heritage of the cultures of Africa are interplaying together in all the daily aspects of life. We have the food aspect, social life, and all the things related to participation. So, generally speaking, Africa is has its own cultures and customs and values, and they are distributed in all different tribes. When we speak about Benin, we have 62 tribes, big tribes with different branches, but here we're speaking about 62 languages. We have close dialects. We have different, totally different languages, and rega although this is the case, but we find inside Benin that we have one tide, the ties of Islam. Whenever you go to find a place, to find a mosque to speak, even if you don't understand the language of this town or this village, you have this same tie, the time of Islam, that goes beyond time and place. And here we're speaking about the month of Ramadan. When we go to the streets in Benin, for example, if you allow me, some cafes and some cafeterias and even some of the evening places in which young people meet, uh, youth meet, whether Muslims or non-Muslims, these places are empty in Ramadan. This is something that we notice in Benin. We find that we can feel this quietness, this serenity, this warmth, this spirituality. This is one of the advantages or one of the things that find in Ramadan. Even a Christian or a pagan or someone who is not a Muslim, they can feel that. They can find quietness and serenity. And this is something that is blessed and enjoyed by all people, even those who are not Muslims. They feel the bliss of these areas and they want to share the reward and they want to be amongst those who are blessed by this month. So the pictures and the image is different. When, for example, when I shed the light on Egypt, for example, and I always dream of attending some time in Ramadan because they speak in Egypt about this spirit of Ramadan. And this is a country that has a majority of Muslims. They have rituals of Muslims that are known for years since the age of the Mamaliks. And but when we compare this to a small country like Benin, after the occupation of France and not speaking Arabic and a secular country, we find that still people value this month of Ramadan. And even if there are some mistakes, but Allah is uh, gracious and Allah is generous. We find that a lot of rewards will be given to Muslims because of the simplicity of people and their honesty and the value that they see in this month of Ramadan and the Arab language in their country. I'll give you an example with the Ramadan baskets. Ramadan baskets is the epitome of solidarity, distributing baskets of Ramadan is one of the most important social solidarity pictures in Benin. We find charities, mosques, individuals distribute these baskets for people who are in need, especially in the less fortunate areas. We find rice, flour, sugar, corn, dates, tomatoes, tomato sauce, and others, and tomato paste, some fruits, mango, oranges, uh, apples, and papaya. We find them and others in these baskets. And they usually add sugar because sugar is used a lot in the month of Ramadan and some other types of um foods and nutritions. And for example, some kind of halba that is dried and they put it and they can put it like tea in hot water and drink it. So whether local manufactured foods or others that are developed locally, or even some of them that are provided by that are imported from other countries, are provided. And this is now something that is famous in all areas, especially in supermarkets. We find baskets that are ready made for people if they want to buy them and distribute them. Also, they even distribute them for even rich families, brothers and sisters amongst themselves, families among themselves. Even if they have money, even if they're rich, they send to each other. Usually, it is done more by women, and I want to draw your attention that Ramadan baskets that are distributed between families or among families, the biggest segment that are interested in them is women. They they decorate them. They know the prices of the food uh, areas in Benin. It's more a feminine society, and women are more in the market, so they are more interested in this part. And we find them decorating the baskets, sisters sending to their brothers and distributing, and also the wives of the brothers send to the sisters of the people of their husbands. So usually speaking, we find this, which is another different of social solidarity, which is spreading love and sharing amongst the people of society, sending baskets for those who need or those who don't need. So they help and they keep the ties live of their family. Family ties are live, and this, the Islamic and Arab cultures interplaying with the African cultures. Now the Ramadan baskets are used. We have basmati rice, for example. When people go to Hajjan, eat mandi or Bukhari or kabsa in Saudi Arabia, when they come back, they want this same type of rice. So now they have this culture, Arab culture, impact, and the types of food. When we go to iftar, when we go to Umrah, they find this type of iftar. So they started to migrate this or to transfer these types of food and these good images of iftar. They started to use them here through what they distribute in the baskets for others. So this started with travels with Umrah and Hajj journeys. They are interacting with these places and they try to transfer them to their places. So now, iftar, they even invite non-Muslims to iftar meals to show them the generosity of Ramadan, generosity of Muslims, and how we gather together. 2 or 3 years ago, the fasting of Muslims and Christians happened and occurred at the same time. So they started making invitations to have iftar between Muslims and non-Muslims. And even last year, we went and had iftar inside a church. They invited us to have iftar there with them. It was something strange. Even people from other religions started to be impacted by this type of iftar festivals and this type of adding dates, this time of adding milk and dates to their meals. All of these things are showing the Arab impact in general. Also, after distributing and sending for their family, for the people in need, they also send food, whether baskets descending to the mosques or even ready meals are sent to the mosques for a group iftars, and we find a group of people instead of having iftar at house, or people who have work, or people who are singles, they prefer to go to the mosque to have iftar there and to pray. After that, they stay until al-Isha and al-Tarawih prayers. So it is as if timing and calendars and everything changed in the month of Ramadan in Benin. We also find that this spirit of brotherhood and cooperation and solidarity in social life, it's not only limited to Muslims, but it's also distributed to encompass all other people from other cultures and other religions. And I know that there a lot of people come to our meals and house meals that are not Muslims, but they started to like this spiritual practice and they started to love it and to practice it. And it is now a habit for non-Muslims to participate with Muslims and to share fasting with them. And now we have different kinds of baskets, which are the Ramadan baskets sent to people from different religions. They send baskets from juice, orange and mango and porter juice. They send it to all of us, to us, and even we find non-Muslims sending to us. We find 4 or 5 baskets sent to us from people who are not Muslims, who are respecting our rituals, who are sharing our joy and happiness. Even in the preparation of these baskets, we have the spirit of joy and happiness and optimism. Even those who give us the basket, they are smiling. So, subhanAllah, glory be to Allah. These are good times, and these are the same faces that give us baskets and iftar in al-Haram in Mecca, or people who are charities who come to Africa from Arab countries to give us baskets in Ramadan and aid aid in Ramadan. These are the same thing. We have found them in all places. Someone who's giving and someone who's receiving, all of them smiling and all of them sharing the joy of Ramadan. Also, speaking about another point of view related to these tables of iftar that are inviting everyone. And what's good now is that even with TikTok, internet, Facebook, we find how people decorate their houses. Now it is a habit, and it is a common thing now in markets, and we can even order them to be sent to our homes. Are the decorations and the fanus who are sent, and we find Benini people who cannot understand the concept of Ramadan fanus or Ramadan decorations, but yet they are using them and they use them and they put them on their tables and they put them as if you are in one of the neighborhood in Libya or in Tunisia or Morocco or Kuwait or Saudi or Emirates. This is something strange, but what's even more strange is that Allah, uh, the Almighty, put in humans this spirit of loving what is beautiful and what is peaceful with all humans and humanity. So they are impacted with these practices, even non-Muslims. Also in Ramadan, the tables of Ramadan, the same style of Ramadans that we see in houses or in the mosques, but they're also decorated. Even the local cuisines, they are developed, and some of the heavy meals are now in Ramadan more light. They change them in order to be more lighter than it before, and they are decorating everything to be matching the spirit of Ramadan. So this is a good level of comparison. We have had a lot of people travel and go and notice, and but we find a lot of values, and now our habits and customs and values are now very similar. We find sambusa, for example, on our tables. We found Borika, like in Moroccan countries, but now in most of our uh, tables of Ramadan, even milk, we find it. Even some people uh, buy Vimto when they go to the Gulf, to Saudi Arabia, for example. People come to us, ask, when they come to have iftar with us, they ask, where's Vimto? So these are things that are close, and people started to um, take these matters and to be accustomed to them. And when we go to any other country, it feels like home. And when he comes to um any country, he finds these things also available. And this is what we find, the unity of the Muslims and the unity of the spirit of Muslims and the closeness of Ramadan. rituals of the Islamic nature. Also, one of the practices is the religious part in mosques. For example, after Al Asr prayer, we find the Quran interpretation classes and we find sheikhs who, and in every town there is a big mosque, and in every big mosque there is uh, an interpreter, a Quran interpreter. This Quran interpreter has a high value, and when the month of Ramadan comes, all people help them and facilitate for him, so that after Al Asr they are ready and they are free to go to the mosque and they start interpreting the Quran, and with all of the things in order to explain to the people, explaining and interpreting the Quran, also some of the nasheeds and Islamic songs and values, also also preparation for Eid in Benin. It is not a habit for us to buy, for example, ready-made clothes for Eid. So sewing clothes is very important for us, and in Benin, majority is Muslims, regardless of all the statistics that say otherwise. When Ramadan comes, we find that the majority is Muslims. We find everything other than Ramadan places is empty, and everything in the markets, it is everything related to Ramadan. Prices go high. Even people who provide clothes and sewers who provide tailors who provide. So tailors, people know the difference between tight clothes and br- not tight clothes, and also the good clothes that are appropriate for Ramadan. People who buy abayas and thobes, and after that they wear special clothes for the with decorations that suit the Eid after Ramadan. And we find that people also have uh, some families wear similar clothes and similar colors. In some families, we find parents wear a color, the children another color. So these traditions and customs in Ramadan that show the customs and the characteristics of Ramadan. Some people buy cloth and send it to Quranic schools, and all the children of these Quranic schools come to Al Eid with all of these clothes to share the joy of the feast of the Eid with them. And some people send clothes to people who are less fortunate. In order to not, in order to save time, one last point before I conclude is the question or the idea of suhoor. In Benin, people have suhoor uh, at the last hour before dawn, before Fajr. And this is something, and this is something related to the Islamic social. This is something different. And as you know, in the Islamic culture, and there are points that we are sure of that are taken from the Arab civilization, and some things taken from this Islamic civilization. Some of them are matching with the culture of Benin. Some of them are not matching, but we take care very much of this part, which is the following the sunnah of the traditions of the Prophet as much as possible. And they are now follow the Prophet saying with eating suhoor late, just before Fajr, and they look and they prepare the meals, um, and they wake up maybe 1 hour before Fajr in order to prepare the meals. The line uh, was cut from Dr. Widad. Now, thank you very much. Thank you very much. We'll get back to Dr. Widad with participation in the Q&A with the attendees, Dr. Rudad spoke about the solidarity part that is shown in the month of Ramadan, and she also talked about the some of the habits and customs moving from the Arab world to Benin and the Benin tribes and Muslim peoples of Benin. Also, in addition to some of the Islamic rituals or Islamic habits that I find like interpretation of the Quran after Al-Asr prayer. So we can find that these are the main points that she talked about Dr. Widad from Benin. Now we move to Dr. Salu Al-Hassan. Dr. Salu, can you hear me? Dr. Salu Al-Hassan, can you hear me? Dr. Salu Al-Hassan from Niger. Dr. Salu, it seems that Dr. Salu is not with us. Dr. Salu, maybe we can find some of these uh, technical glitches because of the internet or power cuts in some of the countries in Africa. So now with Dr. Ahmed Al-Hajj. Dr. Ahmed Al-Hajj, I think you're with us. Yes, I'm here. Wa alaikum salam. How are you? Welcome, Dr. Ahmed. Welcome. Dr. Ahmed Al-Hajj. Dr. Ahmed Al-Hajj, he's an associate professor at the National University of Benin. He's from Ghana. You live in Benin or Ghana, but you're originally from Ghana. Yes, and I live in Ghana. So tonight we're going to speak about the traditions and customs of some of the Muslim tribes and peoples and Ghana may be one of the tribes you want to speak about in specific. Yes. So how do you receive the month of Ramadan uh, regarding this tribe and what are the language that this tribe speaks and what is the history of Islam reaching this tribe and also in the month of Ramadan are there any customs or traditions that are distinguishing this tribe to other tribes, this Muslim tribe? So let's focus on the population of this tribe if possible. Where do they live in Ghana, north or middle or south? Also, the history of Islam for this tribe, and also let's focus after that on the habits and traditions and customs of this tribe in the month of Ramadan. You have 15 minutes, Doctor. All praise due to Allah, peace and blessings be upon the Prophet Muhammad, who was sent as a mercy for all mankind, Muhammad bin Abdullah, and for his family and companions and people who followed them until the day of judgment. Uh, in the beginning, I'd like to thank and appreciate the this organization that worked on spreading the Islamic African culture and was very keen on following up on the African issues from different rituals and habits and customs. Uh, there's no doubt that this will elevate the status of this Africa of the continent and also will shed the light on some of these customs and habits. One of this is related to the issues of the continent, relating it to this holy month of Ramadan. So in the beginning, I ask Allah the Almighty to reward those who are working on this organization with the best reward for the best reward and thawab with the blessings of this holy month of Ramadan. As the doctor has mentioned, we're speaking about the Gumba tribe from Ghana, given that It is one of the first tribes that embraced Islam in Ghana and stood fast to their religion so far. It appears that the connection is not stable with Dr. Ahmed Al-Had. Dr. Ahmed, we can hear you. So one of the Muslim tribes in Ghana that live in the northern part of Ghana Republic, and they are famous of their steadfast on Islam, and they were very strong, especially at the time of the occupation against Germany and Spain, and they are famous for their adherence to Islam since the beginning, since Islam came to these areas, the northern area, uh, through the Sufi tourers who came to us and brought Islam to us, and they found that this religion is a religion of tolerance and peaceful coexistence, and they accepted this religion and they embraced it. So, and the origin of the word Dagumba is maybe historians are different. Some of them refer it to the Mali origins. Some of them say that they are from Nigerian origins, and they say that the word Dagumba, this is a word from Dangumbi, meaning those who are the sons of Dumbi from inside Nigeria. So narrations are different about the origin of this word, but we find that this is an authentic Ghani word because we don't see this language spoken in any other areas, in whether in Nigeria or Mali. It's only spoken inside Ghana. So this is a tribe that is, some of them think they are descending from Mali, as I said before, and they say that they are maybe like from Ad people because we are adhering to Islam and we have habits related to Ad, or similar to Ad, and they say that the origin of this tribe is from Ad, from the Arabian Peninsula. Some historians say that, and some of them relate them to Ad or to Mandi from Mali or to Hausa from Nigeria. The habits and customs, we're going to speak about them in order to save time. The habits and customs for the Gumba tribe in the blessed month of Ramadan. Some of the habits that are mentioned by Dr. Wudad are very similar. We find the same habits here in the Gumba tribe in terms of solidarity, in terms of cooperation between Muslims and non-Muslims, especially in the month of Ramadan. But here we're going to speak about points that were not mentioned by Dr. Wudad because tribes who are touring in the west of Africa, they have similar habits and customs, whether in the habits of religion or cultural or ritual aspects. So one of the habits that we have in the month of Ramadan is that when we see the crescent, even the pagan kings, when they saw the crescent of Ramadan, they had to 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 press the trigger to announce the beginning of this month of Ramadan, and this happened bet whether both for Muslims and not Muslims. They fire the rifles. Can you hear me? Yes, we can hear you. So they fired the rifles. They fired the rifles or the guns to announce the beginning of this holy month of Ramadan. Even some kings who are not Muslims, as soon as they see the crescent, or as soon as anyone sees the crescent of the month of Ramadan, you hear in all areas the firing of the guns and announcing the beginning of this holy month of Ramadan, and also showing their joyfulness of the beginning of Ramadan, which doesn't happen in other months. Kings and princes and Muslims who are not Muslims alike in all villages of the tribes of the Gumba. And this happens to announce their joyfulness and the beginning of the month of Ramadan. When we look at this month of Ramadan, we find that in the month of Ramadan, we find that يسمى نور الشروق. نور الشروق, which means the month of fasting. And this expresses that this month is dedicated to fasting. And in the tribe, and I'm one of them because I'm from the same, the Gumba uh, tribe, we say that the month of Ramadan is called Noral Gwale, the month of fasting. And there is no doubt, even before Islam comes to Ghana, this means that the tribe had very similar customs and habits and rituals, and very similar to what was happening in the Arab areas and Islamic areas as well. Also, one of the traditions that are there for this tribe, Dr. Rudad has mentioned suhoor. Yes, suhoor is also one of the sunnahs of the Prophet, and also one of the traditions that I find in this tribe, and not in other tribes, is that we find young people wake up around 3 a.m. and they start hitting the to wake people to eat suhoor, and we find this in most of the northern areas of the tribe. We find, for example, they're beating the drums to wake people to have suhoor. This is a habit for this tribe. We don't find it in many other African tribes. As I said before, some of the young men, young Muslims, they beat the drums to wake people to eat suhoor, and before Fajr, even before the dawn. Even if you hear that, you find that the suhoor time has come. So this is a good habit in order to help others wake up to eat suhoor before Fajr, because the Prophet said suhoor is a blessing. And also, they have specific uh, rituals for suhoor and iftar, some foods, and people who don't eat them, it feels like something is missing. Even some of them think that fasting will not be complete if you don't eat them. They start with dates and other traditional foods that they prepare in the month of Ramadan and suhoor and in iftar. Given that Ramadan is a month of the Holy Quran, we have a habit that is there since ancient times, that people gather on the circle or around a halaqah type or shape or form to read the Quran. One of them reads and the rest listen to him. And after that, the best one of them in reciting the Quran helps and facilitates and corrects the mistakes of the reader. And this is something that is there in all of the houses in the north after the Taraweeh prayer and after al al-Asha meal. They uh, in the yard of the house they sit together in a circle shape, and the best person in reading the Quran sits in the middle, and they read and he corrects the mistakes. When they finish, they start over. This is something that is there. This is a habit that they have. And also, one of the good things that we find is that they also participate and they engage children with them, and kids who are in sixth and grade six, they start participating in reading, reciting the Quran, and kids who memorize until the Yasin chapter from Quran, from Yasin to Anas, they participate. But people who do not receive that, usually they do not participate in reciting in the month of Ramadan. This is also something which is another habit that I found that's not maybe available in most of the other African countries. And when they read in the 27th day of the month of Ramadan, they consider it according to what they think as the Laylatul Al-Qadr, 27th of the 27th of Ramadan. So most of the people now who read in the uh, halaqas, they now start go to everywhere to one house to read all of the Quran, and then they go to another one. The Imam of the village goes to different houses until they finish, and sometimes they stay like that until the morning in order to read the whole of the Quran. And every house in the village in this day, as if it's an Eid, as if it's and a feast for them. They distribute meals and food and sweets for especially for the less fortunate, and they bake some of the pastry and they give them to people who are in need. And the 27th day of the month, which is the night of determination or the night of glory, Laylatul Qadr, and the 27th, they also they illuminate the torch in the houses uh, to give a feeling that they are in the night of glory or Laylat al Qadr. They light the lanterns. When I was a professor in Chad, and I saw that also they have the same habit. When went there, I found that there are a lot of similarities between these habits that they have and what's there, and the habits of those in Chad as well. Also, in addition to that, Dr. Widad mentioned the interpretation of the holy book of the Quran in Ramadan, but this is not, we don't find it in some of the African countries or in Benin, that the Ghana government provides assigns time dedicated in the TV program for scholars, and they pay for that for the whole month of Ramadan in order to interpret the Quran. And I myself have a TV show twice a week, and the government arranged for that and pays for this time for all of us to interpret the book of Allah, the Quran, whether it is a Muslim, whether the president is Muslim or not Muslim, they do that same thing. They buy this time dedicating it for scholars in order to come to the TV to explain to people the book of Allah. This is also a good thing that is expresses the cooperation and the coexistence between Muslims and non-Muslims. In addition to that, we found that the government in every month of Ramadan they distribute sugar, whether the president is Muslim or not or Muslim. For example, this year, 7,000 bags of sugar were distributed to Muslims in Ghana everywhere. And this is something with the order of the president of the country, even although he's not a. So this is a habit that we have in Ghana. Add to this also the clothes. Dr. Udad spoke about clothes as well, and usually when we speak about the month of Ramadan, what is worn by the young Muslims, you think that you are in the Arab countries because most of them are wearing jilbabs or thobes. Most of them are wearing white thobes or jilbabs, especially at the time of Taraweeh prayer and Tahajjud prayer, and when I attend the mosques to listen to a wa'z or listen to interpretation of the book of Allah, the Quran. There's also a phenomenon that we see here, and it is a kind of similarity. Some maybe when we go to Umrah and Hajj, they find the clothes there and they buy from them, and also they like to wear them and use them in the month of Ramadan. Add to this that when they see the crescent of the month of Shawwal, they also fire the guns by the kings and the princes fire the guns to announce the end of fasting month. This is also there from old times that kings used to do that when they see the crescent of the next month. So the crescent of Ramadan and the crescent of Shawwal. They fire the guns at the beginning and the end of the month of Ramadan. Maybe because time is not uh, is running. Yes, now I'm close to the end. When they see the crescent of the month of Shawwal, they fire the guns and by guns and by kings and princes to announce the fasting. Thank you, Dr. Ahmed. We'll come back to you after we take the speeches from different colleagues. Now with Dr. Samu Al Hassan, you're with us now, Dr. Salu Al Hassan. The speech is for you. Now, Doctor, you have 15 minutes, about 15 minutes. All praise be to Allah, peace and blessings be upon the Prophet Muhammad, his family and companions. The Prophet Muhammad ibn Abdullah, his family and companions. In the beginning, I'd like to thank King Faisal Center for Research in Islamic Studies, and special thanks to the head of Dr. Muhammad Al-Sbiri, head of African Studies program, who gave us this opportunity to attend this discussion panel on the interplay between different Arab African cultures in the month of Ramadan. This is something that is important, and as we know, this is something that expresses the interplay between Arab and African countries regarding the month of Ramadan and Africa in general, and in Niger in specific. This is one thing that is very important because of the impact, the positive impact in this blessed month of Ramadan. And Niger is a distinguished model that expresses this culture that happens in the month of Ramadan. And we find that the Niger inhabitants, most of them are Muslims, and also tribes of them look at this month not only as a month of religious practice, but also they look at this month as something that embodies the richness and the diversity of the cultures of our nation as part of our celebrations, like in some traditional things as music and dancing and narrations. This interplay between Arab and African cultures expresses this unique identity of the nation, and they also expresses and confirms the cultural ties between the different regions. And as you know, Islam in Niger came to Niger in early ages in 666 when Al-Fahri came to Tawa in a Niger area, and Niger is one of the countries that has majority of Muslims. About 98% are Muslims, and this is for us is a very important thing. Also, the month of Ramadan is one of the most important occasions that show the solidarity and the similarity between Arab and African cultures, and all Muslims and the spirit of Islam in African countries since the beginning of the Islamic Dawah and early ages of Islam. And also, this is a very important, uh, prestigious area for people in Niger when we find people gather together, and we find that these celebrations are not only religious rituals, but also they embody a lot of cultural interplay between Africans and Muslims and Arabs uh, alike. So, also one of the habits and one of the rituals that we find in the month of Ramadan in Niger is first when they see the crescent of the month of Ramadan, we find in Niger Al Majlis Al Islami, the Niger's Islamic Council. This Islamic Council has the first word in announcing through the TV the beginning or the uh, emergence of the crescent of the month of Ramadan. As soon as they announce it on TV, all Muslims in Niger have to prepare for the to fast this month. We also find that one of the rituals that we find in the month of Ramadan are we find circles for halaqas for the interpretation of the Holy Quran in all of the 8 regions of Niger. We find the interpretation of the Quran, which is a good opportunity for people to know their religion and to spread awareness amongst Muslims in this blessed month. And we also have also distribution of uh, aid assistance for food like sugar, and people do that for the less fortunate. Also, the government, Nigeria, they also do that, and also Niger, they do that, and they provide this for all of the families that need with the help of the Ministry of Interior. So government does that, and also the non-governmental organizations who work in nature also they do that. They provide assistance, and they also the Ma'idat al-Rahman, the Ramadan tables, they provide that and they organize it, and also the also NGOs and the government do that in order to celebrate this month and to express the blessings and the joyfulness of this month and the happiness of being this month, and also in the Eid, and also at the suhoor time, like the colleagues have mentioned that young people beat the drums. This habit is not limited to their country. We also find it in the western part of Africa, even in Niger. Young people do the same thing in order to wake people to have suhoor before the Fajr prayer, because the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, "تَحْسَحَرُوا فَإِنَّ السُّحُورَ بَرَكَةٌ." Have suhoor because suhoor is a blessing. Also, he mentioned the clothes that are worn by young people in mosques in the month of Ramadan, even in Al-Eid. Also, these things are, we find them even in the western part of Africa. We find them spread in the western part of Africa, and we also find that young people do what they call tashi, which is beating the drums at the 15th night of the month of Ramadan, and they tour all of the streets and all of the roads, and they provide gifts and awards in order to symbolize the glorifying of the holy month of Ramadan. These things we find them also in Niger. We also find organization of awards and international awards in Niger in, since the beginning of Ramadan till its end, and they also announce these the winners of these awards at the 27th night of the month, and the government and the other organizations also participate in that, and because the government uh, is keen on enjoying the importance of Ramadan, as I said, Al Niger has a majority of Muslims, 98% are Muslims, and also we have rituals and traditions and customs that are not different from other, not very different from what we see in Arab countries. Maybe most of these habits are related to the uh, journeys of Al Hajj, because most of the Niger peoples go to Al Hajj, and and most of them went to Hajj walking on their foot, as we see in the uh, in the manuscripts of the Arab countries, and we find a lot of journeys of Al-Hajj and the traditions and the history, and also the rituals of Al-Hajj, and also the 27th night of Ramadan, we find the Khitma of the Quran, or reciting the whole of the Quran, and also at the Tahajjud night. And in Miami, we find it, we call it Qiyam al-Layl with the same Arabic name. They pray all the night. So the month of Ramadan in Niger has this special nature for Muslims, even for non-Muslims as well, because it is very important for them, and the habits and customs and the rituals are almost very similar to Arab countries. I'm not speaking about specific tribe, because in Niger, as I said before, we have a majority of Muslims, and these habits are shared by all people, all Muslims in Niger. Regarding the month of Ramadan, they call it Mer Meho, or the Zarma language, means the time for abstaining from food or siyam. And Hausa they call Azmi, which is the same taken from the Arabic word as-sawm, and this refers to the impact of the habits that are common between the people in Niger who are Muslims and the habits that came to them from the Arab countries. And as you know, we have the commercial and trade relations between Niger and the North and the Arab countries, and these are things that had its impact, and we know that, and also we can refer to them. And this year, there are habits that are new. We have uh, competitions. They organized a national competition for Muslims organized in Miami and the 23rd and 24th and 26th of Ramadan with an initiative from the Ministry of Information and Media. And I'm one of the committee who are responsible for that uh, competition. And this indicates that Niger is interested very much in this month, and the people of Niger also look at the month of Ramadan as if it is the month of as a sacred month, the month of mercy, the month of elevateness, the month of glory and holiness. Even prayed people, they pay their zakat, the Islamic zakat alumni, the zakat, they pay it in the month of Ramadan. All of these things embody what is expected to, and they, in terms of the rituals and habits that we see in the month of Ramadan in the country of Niger, we also have Arab tribes, as we know, in Niger. All of these tribes who are in Niger, they have the same habits and the same rituals, just like what happens in the month of Ramadan. And at the time of iftar, people start with dates. In Sahara, Niger, they have dates, but also some people from Niger, they love to start with dates at the time of iftar, and this is also one of the habits that we find in Niger. And they call dates with the name Labino, with the language of a Hausa. As I mentioned before, there is beating on they beat the drums to wake people from house to house. The young men tour the streets, and they say in the Hausa language, "Masiguranga, masungra." It means the wake people say, "Wake up! You are in the month of Ramadan, and we are sure that you want the heavens and the paradise." In the young men itself, they think that the month of Ramadan is very important, and they believe in that. And by this I conclude my speech. I'd like to thank everyone. Thank you, Dr. Salo. Thank you very much for this beautiful picture that you gave us about from the Niger's capital city, and thank you for speaking about some of the solidarity actions and the celebration of the month of Ramadan and some of the habits that are related to the month of Ramadan. We have many questions, I'm sure, that will be asked for all of you from our colleagues who are attending with us for all of our speakers. And now with Ms. Aisha Khan from Dr. Aisha Khan from Senegal. Professor Aisha, are you with us? So, Ms. Aisha from Senegal is speaking to us from Dakar or from another city? No, from another town, not from the capital city. So can you tell us the name of your town? The town is called Mife. In which part of Senegal? The north, south, east, middle? Dr. Aisha, go ahead. Unmute your mic, please. تفضلي. Yes, you can start. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, all praise due to Allah, peace and blessings be upon the Prophet Muhammad, his family and companions. Peace be upon you all. I'd like to thank the scientific committee organizing this panel discussion for allowing us the opportunity to participate in spreading the African culture by monitoring the traditions and habits and celebrations related to the atmospheres of the Ramadan, the month of Ramadan in the African countries, and their interplay with the Arab cultures, especially in the country of Senegal, which is a very important thing that interplay with the Muslim countries in Ramadan in many areas, given that they start from one consideration and one aspect of that is taken by all Muslims to understand the importance and the glory of this holy month of Ramadan. So, according to the teachings of Allah and Islam and the different variations of different time space conditions, in my thought, speaking about social habits and customs and in the month of Ramadan in Senegal, I'm going to speak about the common factors and common denominators between Arab and African habits in the month of Ramadan and the different and the points of differences. When we speak about the social norms, we speak about habits and customs that are common amongst people and they're considered like an internal law or rule in terms of importance. So, social norms in Senegal during the month of Ramadan are distinguished with being based on two things: the religious part, from one aspect, because they take their reference from the Holy Quran and from the Prophet's traditions or the Sunnah. And from the other side, they do not neglect the social habits and customs of the African countries. When we look at the most important social norms in Senegal during the month of Ramadan, we find that this can be answered by three main aspects. First, the religious aspect, then the social cultural aspect, and the scientific aspect is the last one. When we speak about the religious aspect, the preparation for the month of Ramadan in Senegal starts maybe in the month of Sha'ban because they think that the month of Ramadan is very important in order to prepare to early scholars and Muslims and Imams who start by memorizing the rules of this month and how to invite people to fast this month. And when the crescent is seen for the month of Ramadan, they announce it. The, it is announced by the uh, Al Hilal seeing crescent committee in whether directly or through the radio or the new media channels of communication. And after that, people start celebrating and congratulating each other. And the congratulations in Senegal is different from the congratulations in Arab countries, for example. For example, in the Arab countries, the people exchange the word Ramadan Mubarak, تقبل الله منا منكم, may Allah accept our fasting. In Senegal, people say this word and they add something, which is التسامح فيما بينهم, which is tolerance between us. In Olofi language, they say Balma Abu Balmal Harkaz, and this is how they exchange tolerance amongst themselves regarding neighbors and relatives and others as well. Also, the religious part in Ramadan in Senegal is embodied in the adhkar, the sadaqat, and the charity giving. And this is very much related to the Arab cultures. We find people organize mosques and they prepare the yards of the mosque in order to prepare it for prayers in the month of Ramadan, in addition to the rest of the things as well in the Senegal society as well. And I'd like also to remind you of these customs that are very specific to the society in Senegal. We can say that preparation to the month of Ramadan, one of the most important habits and traditions in the month of Ramadan are related to the, as mentioned before, social, cultural. Because the month of Ramadan has its importance in Senegal, especially in Senegal, where Muslims are 95%. And one of the most important traditions of Islam that are organized on a daily basis in most of the mosques in Senegal, as if in Duba, Dakar, and other areas in Senegal, in addition to the role played by the young people in their neighborhoods where they organize themselves to collect the contributions from people in order to spend them to prepare iftar to be distributed in the streets for people who need, for travelers and others. This is also in addition to sadaqat or charity money that is distributed to people in the villages and rural areas. And also it is common that you see the meals sent to neighbors and also Silat al-Arham, which is keeping family ties, which is one of the most important habits in the month of Ramadan, and also one of the most important things in the month of Ramadan. Also, gifts are very important in the month of Ramadan, one of the most important things. And people have the gift of Ramadan, Hadiyah Ramadaniya, and they even say it in our Malaki, Shukr Ramadan, Hadiyah Ramadaniya, which is very important. And they used to exchange these gifts before maintaining kinship ties. And also they gave money and clothes and other kinds of gifts in the month of Ramadan. And this, for example, for they gave gifts, for example, and maybe the wife gives these to the family of her husband, and also the husband gives to the family of his wife as well. And that's how they exchange these habits amongst themselves in Senegal. Also, regarding the habits and customs and social norms as well in Senegal during this holy month of Ramadan, or even before it, as I mentioned before, regarding the cultural, social aspect, we can say and explain that the strength of societies is within the solidarity of the components of the society, and that happiness lies in giving in order to uplift the suffering from that others face. So social solidarity is an Islamic concept, and this is the basis for a society that is based on cooperation and mercy and the and the responsibility of women and also their role in society. And this is also the important for them in our society, and the Senegalese society and other societies in the western part of Africa, knowing that Senegal, in terms of, is has the nature of Sufi religion, and Sufi is decorating the nature of the religious aspect. Senegal also in order to uplifting and elevating the self. And so people who are the followers of the Sufi schools in Senegal, they have circles for reading poems that are speaking about the Prophet, peace be upon him. And also one of the things that they have in the is compassion and the bonds of love. And some of the areas is prepare food for the sheikhs of their uh, places, and they prepare a lot of food to be provided to the Khalifa, the head of the school, and he distributes it to people who need. And also the Karatib also is important, which is one of the things that we notice in the Muridiya method of or school of Islam. Also, what was mentioned by my colleagues regarding waking people to have suhoor meal, as it is in Benin and Niger, we also have it in Senegal as well. Some of the young men in neighborhoods, they tour the neighborhoods or the towns, uh, and also they beat the drums in order to wake people at the time of suhoor regarding the religious and cultural aspect. Now I go on speaking about the scientific aspect, because this is one of the most important norms that we find in Senegal during the month of Ramadan, which is the scientific or the scholar part. People start organizing the knowledge part, the knowledge aspect. They organize lectures on a daily basis in the mosques, like in the mosques in the big countries and Dakar and others in big cities and towns in Senegal. They organize lectures, Islamic lectures in all of the regions of Senegal. The timing, the best timing is usually after the Al Isha prayer and before a Tarawih prayer, where the scholars and the imams speak about different topics that are very important for the people who pray with them, and they urge people to commit to the teachings of the religion of Islam, in addition to other aspects that are related to the the Senegalese society and others. Also, another important thing, very important, also some of the circuits organize some of these Islamic cultures, like the Department of Mustarshidina and Mustarshidat, and this circle or this department or societies prepare and organize lectures in the University of Ramadan and all of the regions in Senegal. And these lectures are knowledge lectures. There's a usual habit in Senegal, and this is something that is common in the month of Ramadan, to revive knowledge and Islamic knowledge as scholars, because scholars and researchers start giving lectures in different topics. One of the most important aspects of regarding the knowledge aspect is the interpretation of the Holy Quran in the mosques. And also, we find that imams and ulamas, scholars, Islamic scholars give lectures and special lectures for the interpretation of the Holy Quran inside the mosques. And also, in terms of the knowledge and scientific part, we find the competitions and the Ramadan competitions and the Quran competitions that are organized in Senegal. And these competitions are organized in all of the areas and regions in Senegal. They organize these Quran competitions. Also, there is something that is worthy to be mentioned regarding the scientific or cultural or knowledge based, which is the change that happens in the TV program in Senegal. For example, we find that ulama or scholars provide programs, and also the TV they change their program, they change their program to be different from what was there before Ramadan in the different months of Ramadan. In Ramadan, they provide more programs on Ramadan and everything related to Islamic teachings of Ramadan and other things. We also mention uh, in the conclusion things that are related to clothes and also related to clothes, especially with women. Things are different from what is worn by women is different compared to other months. In Ramadan, we find that women wear more religious clothes in their clothes in the month of Ramadan. For example, if in the other months, uh, for example, maybe they wear these religious clothes and traditional clothes in the day of Friday only. But in the month of Ramadan, usually women wear these traditional clothes in all of the days of the month of Ramadan that are appropriate to the month of Ramadan and what Islam teaches women to wear. This is generally what I wanted to mention, or what I wanted to shed a light on regarding the norms or habits and customs or the social norms during the month of Ramadan in the country of Senegal. These social norms are not very much different from what we find in other African countries. For example, we find that there is interference or interplay, and we find a lot of similarities mentioned by my colleagues, and we find interplay between African cultures, and also in addition to the interplay between the Senegalese culture and Arab countries as well. Thank you very much, Professor. Thank you, Professor Aisha, for your uh, intervention speaking about the Ramadan traditions in Senegal. Now we speak also about the Q&A because it appears that Dr. Adris Yao from Cote d'Ivoire is not able to join us, maybe for some technical issues. Now we stay with the colleagues and we receive their questions. We have received some questions from Dr. Abdullah Aziz. The question is for Dr. Ahmed Al Haj. Dr. Ahmed, can you hear me? Yes, I can hear you. The question is for you. The doctor says, is there a linguistic difference between the term Ramadan and the other term you referred two, which you use to denote the month of fasting. Is there a linguistic difference between the two words? Yes, regarding the word, the month of Ramadan, the name of the month of Ramadan is in the Dagomba language is called Nilri Wale. Gwale معناها الشهر means the month. Lunary means fasting. So this means the month of fasting. This is the literal translation, the month of fasting. Nilri Wale. Nilri الصوم. Galu al is fasting. So they call it the month of fasting. Even the pagans call it the same thing, the month of fasting. I don't know where it was translated or the word. And also at the iftar, the rest of the colleagues, please keep your phones silent. Dr. Ahmed, we're back to you. Also, as I said, the month of Ramadan in the Dagomba language is called Nolori Gwale. So the word Gwale means month, Nolori means fasting. So it's the month of fasting. So it is translated directly like that. I don't know where, how did they find that. Even during iftar, the month of Shawwal is called Kumbra Cho, means that we have broken our fasting. They call it like that. Kumbra Cho means we broke our fasting. The month of iftar, as if we're in Shawwal, we have iftar after the fasting in the month of Ramadan. So, as it is said, the, the tribe origin is from Aad, so maybe they brought some of their same habits that were there at the Arabia for the tribe. Doctor, we'll give other questions to cover all of the questions that we have. We have a lot of questions. Dr. Hiba Aqil from Egypt asks, is the map or the TV programs and the radio programs in the African countries change in the month of Ramadan? Ms. Aisha, or Professor Aisha talked about this and said that there is a change, yes. So in Ghana, Dr. Ahmed, is there a change in the TV program and the radio programs in the month of Ramadan? Yes, they change dramatically, especially in the northern areas. Most of the programs stop and they're replacing with other programs because in TV or radio programs, most of the programs in Ramadan are religious programs, especially those that are related to advertisements and others. Everything is changed. Um, Interpreters, people who interpret the Quran in all of the regions and whether through radio or television. So when you wake up, even in the middle of the month, and you switch on the TV, you find people teaching Islamic teachings and other interpretation of Islam. Let's listen to Dr. Widad. Dr. Widad in Benin. What about in Benin? Yes, regarding the programs in Ramadan, is there a change regarding the month of Ramadan in Benin? Yes, it depends. We have the radio and we have television, radio and television. We find that in suhoor and programs, we have Muslim scholars and people who are interested in Islamic religion, as Professor Al Fawad, some of them have suhoor early and then they go to other TV, radio TV programs. And people at suhoor, they switch on the radio to listen to these programs that are provided. And speaking about different topics, some of them are serious series programs, some of them in suhoor, and some on iftar, and also regarding television. We switch on the TV and see, see them, and we find also other programs regarding what is known, because television is something where we find maybe radio is easier to be near the table of iftar from one radio to other in order to listen to different things, but not generally speaking as it is there in many of the countries, because Senegal is, we have like 99%, and in Ghana they have maybe some of the areas and some of the areas a lot. In Benin, it's not very much changed like them, but there are a lot of new things that are added to the TV programs to distinguish them in the month of Ramadan, the iftar time, and also some of the programs that are dedicated to Ramadan in most of the cases. And also, we have YouTube channels that provide a lot of things. People come and uh, also record some of these things. Also, some of the points are important and people listen to them. So, yes, the atmospheres are different. We're going to people speaking about the TV is different. We have new things, new people. People listen to lectures in Ramadan. From Ramadan to Ramadan, they listen to them. So, even these things change the mechanism. They change, this change and diversifies the things that are delivered the through the media. I do not hear Professor Muhammad. I can't hear anything. Dr. Muhammad, can you hear me? We can't hear Dr. Muhammad. Yes, indeed. Jam'an Ash-Shaharani said that there are images. We receive some pictures from African countries. It feels like some of these people appear like maybe like old times, and maybe this is not totally correct. Dr. Salo Al Hassan, can you hear me? How does the because there are video clips of certain individuals in Africa who appear as if they belong to primitive tribes, and however, this is not close. Yes, there is a lot of change regarding the TV programs and other programs in Niger due to the majority of people being Muslims, the Islamic religion. We don't forget that there is a good opportunity that came to uh, interpreters of the Holy Quran and judges and scholars to be empowered to provide Quran interpretation on TV, directly on live, and radio and TV as well, whether the government channels and others. And in the recent years, we have sheikhs who got the radios and also private radios. channels and TV channels, and they dedicate specific times in the month of Ramadan for their times in order to uh, provide Quran interpretation and dawah on TV and in other areas as well, in nature as well. This is something that is noticed, and due to its importance and the great importance of the month of Ramadan given by the peoples of Niger, whether government or people, they always seek giving opportunity to all tribes of Niger to be on TV and also on the radio to provide their programs, whether Quran interpretation or different qira'ats. And also, I mentioned the competitions, the Ramadan competitions that are held, and also on TV, live, and on the radio as well, uh, that the government gives to the radio and TV and the month of Ramadan. Thank you, Dr. Hassan. There is a question from Dr. Jaman Shahrani. For those who want to answer, he said that in some of the Muslim and African countries, children who fast for the first time are placed on the rooftop of the house as a symbolic gesture of their joy and celebration of their ability to fast. Do you have this habit, Dr. Sarwar Hassan? For children who fast for the first time, they they eat their breakfast, their iftar, on the rooftop of their house as a symbolic gesture of their joy and celebration of their ability to fast. We don't have this in our country, but maybe children who fast, those who are 4, 5, 6, they fast as a trial. They try to fast, and maybe at 12 they eat in order to encourage them to eat and to be used to have it. We call it the fasting of sparrows. Mr. Mamadu is asking the question is in Senegal, the Laylat al Qadr, the night of glory on the 27th night of Ramadan, is it during the, or are there any established signs regarding the prayers at the night of Laylat al Qadr? Did you hear the question? Yes, I heard it. If you'd like to answer it. Yes, regarding the Laylatul Qadr, we don't only celebrate this night and 27th, but we also have other days and nights to celebrate the nights of Ramadan. We have, for example, a famous house in Senegal that signs the Laylatul Qadr according to the crescent seeing, for example. For example, if the crescent of the month Ramadan is seen on Sunday, then Laylatul Qadr will be on the 27th of Ramadan. So simple things like that. The important thing that Laylatul Qadr is not only limited to the 27th night of Ramadan. Maybe there are other celebrations of other nights as well. Yes, thank you very much. Dr. Khadija Raji from Morocco, she wants to, do you want to intervene? Dr. Khadija? Dr. Khadija? Dr. Najat Qirfal, go ahead. Dr. Raja, can you give your mic? Dr. Najat. Now we'll continue the questions. There are many questions. A question. Are there any special African dishes in the month of Ramadan? Ramadan special dishes that are presented on the tables in the month of Ramadan. The other questions for Dr. Widad, maybe? Dr. Widad, yes. First, I think that the way fruit is presented is different in the month of Ramadan. In Ramadan, we have people usually they have different style in peeling oranges in the month of Ramadan and presenting it to the table. And we notice that in the month of Ramadan also providing these dates on the table. Usually it's more in the month of Ramadan. Also different types of marid, which we find it sometimes that they're in I would say Ramadan, but in Ramadan they're presented in a different style, in a different manner. So this is something that is distinguishing the month of Ramadan. Also, there are some meals that are now difficult to prepare. For example, something close to falafel uh, that is sold in some of the areas, but in the month of Ramadan, they want to eat it with madid and the iftar and the first meal before the main meal. But now, with the quick pace of life and with the people don't have enough time to prepare it every day. Um, so, in the month of Ramadan, it is a good opportunity for them to eat these meals that they miss all year long. These traditional meals are there in Ramadan. They don't have time to prepare them outside of Ramadan. So, in Ramadan, they spend a lot of time on preparing them to decorate their meals with them. I would like to add that maybe some of the luqaymat that are presented in Ramadan, and they are presented to the month of Ramadan. And as Dr. Ahmed has mentioned, according to the tribes, some tribes like Al Hausa, for example, they have some type of awamat that they prepare by the rice flour. In Ramadan, they are more, and in many other areas, they are sold in the hood, like in Libya in Ramadan, they have this space of borik. Borika, they find it everywhere because people know how to eat it. They eat borika in Ramadan. So the same thing, we find it in Benin. We find some of these areas and the skeleton. We find a lot of people answering these things. There's something also that is presented and made like from the seeds of sesame. We call it the husi. In the month of Ramadan, they make some kind of small bites that are fried in oil, and this is dedicated to Ramadan only. And until today, I still ask my grandmother to prepare them for me. And it's clear that we have these things. We have young men and as children, we started to miss them, but our elders prepare them in the month of Ramadan. Thank you, Dr. Widad. Are there any change in the working hours? This is from Dr. Fahad Al-Sharif. Are in these countries, are there any change in working hours, maybe reducing working hours by 1 or 2 hours? Maybe Dr. Udad, you can answer this. I think Dr. Ahmed can speak, and after Dr. Ahmed, I'll be speaking. Thank you very much. Yes, regarding the change in the times of working in Ghana, there are no change to the times of in Ghana. We have the same working hours, except in areas that there are majority of Muslims. Sometimes they allow them to leave early, and this is some kind of facilitation, not a formal thing, but maybe informally by some of the organizations. Dr. Ahmed, there is another question from Dr. Mustafa Salem from Algeria. He says that there is, uh, for example, your country is, your tribe is Hausa. Arabic language has its impact on them. Yes, the Gumba language. We have the Gumba language. Yes, there are a lot of impacts of the Arabic language on us. Yes, regarding a lot of Arab countries, Arab words that we find. Yes, and some of them even are translated directly. For example, we use a lot of words the same as in Arabic, but when you go to their meaning in our country, it will be the same meaning. We find a lot of them. When you try to translate them, you find them the same as in Arabic. As I mentioned in the word, the month of fasting, and also in some of the other months as well. For example, Sha'ban month, for example, it comes before Ramadan. So we call it Shahr as-Sawm Saghir, the minor fasting month. This is for Sha'ban. Nur Bla means the month of small or minor fasting because it comes before the big fasting month, which is the month of Ramadan. So there are many Arab countries that are used, Arab words that are used, Arabic words that are used in our language, and also and also they are similar to the Arabic words that we know. Yes, thank you very much. Thank you. Regarding Benin, maybe this is something different from the Arab countries regarding working hours in general. It's the same working hours. People after Fajr, they move directly to their time. There is no difference. There is no dedicated working hours in Ramadan. It's not a month of laziness. No, people work and people, even in Ramadan, go earlier to their hour. And this is something that distinguishes us because even it is wise, it is Islamic wise in the month of Ramadan to start early. And Ramadan is not for fasting, it's not for laziness. People work without, as if they are not fasting. We don't find any difference, uh, except that they don't eat and they don't drink water. So, but at work, there is no differences in the working hours. People even work more in Ramadan. So working hours do not change. Maybe some private organizations, like my university, the African Research Institute, in order to glorify the month of Ramadan and the rituals of Islam, they change the timings. Sometimes we start at 9 instead of 10, and instead of having a lecture for 2 hours, it's only 1.5 hours, just to glorify the month of Ramadan. But usually it is the same. They usually go after Fajr, after dawn, they go to work. We're Muslims, and to give this country distinguish in order to be there, to go to work after Fajr, we give them this break to practice their rituals of Ramadan and their habits, Islamic habits. Also, the break starts at the 20th days of Ramadan and 5 days after Eid. The formal day in Benin, the formal vacation is only one day in Benin, but in my institution, it's 15 days. 10 days in Ramadan and 5 days after Ramadan. This is for glorification of the Islamic rituals. As because we are private institution and we can do that, we can take this break because we know the importance of Ramadan and the da'wah tours and other things. So we have a specific calendar for that. Regarding the impact of the Arab language in Africa, all African countries that have Muslims have interplays with the Arabic language in their dialects and their talks and their terminology that they use, regardless of whether in Ghana, on Benin, on Senegal, on any Western African countries, in all countries, or even the whole world in general, because even in French in France, they have some Arab words and idioms they use because it's Islamic, and they use it in French and they use generally. And I want to add something to the question that was asked from one of the colleagues in Senegal. She answered it. I'll get back to it later. Thank you very much. If you allow me, Dr. I want to add something to what was mentioned by Dr. Wadad. Arab Arab schools generally in Ghana, they take a break in Ramadan because they study Arabic and English. So the Arabic part, they take a break. They take a break all in Ramadan. They don't study until after Ramadan. When we take the break in Ramadan, the Arab schools who study in Arabic and Islamic studies, they not take a break. This is also there in Ghana. So in the month of Ramadan now, all Arab schools and Islamic schools have a break. They study Arabic and who study Arabic and Quran. Islamics they don't study. They study only English and they leave early instead of studying Arabic and studying Islamics and things from the Dhuhr to Asr. Now, no, they leave early at 1 p.m. or maybe 12 p.m. Also, regarding Niger, in Niger we have adjustment for the working hours. Work starts at 8 to 4. The government, in order to glorify the month of Ramadan, they reduced the working hours and also regarding languages. All Niger languages have Arabic words spread amongst them. And as you know, Hausa language and Swahili language, they have words from Arabic as well, and it is common. And there is a study that was done in terms of the language that was done there, and all of the Niger's countries took or borrowed a lot of the Arabic words and they used them. As I said, Asiyam means Azumi. Azumi is originally Asawm, Azum. And in Sargazm by language, they say Meho, Meho, Asawm, Ho Imsak, as it means Ramadan. And also the month of Ramadan, Hausa, they say Watan Azumi, Waqat Asawm, time for fasting, if we want to literally translate it. So a lot of words. So we find Arabic vocabularies and also maybe different ways of pronouncing it. There's a question for Professor Aisha, if she is still with us. Professor Aisha, are you here? A question for you. How does the table, Ramadan table, look like? How does it look like, the table of Ramadan in Senegal? Regarding the Ramadan table, yes, sometimes they exaggerate the distribution of meals, food and beverages in the yard of iftar. Yeah, this is the main change between Ramadan. versus not Ramadan, the diversification. Is there any increase in the prices in the month of Ramadan? Or is there, like, for example, some discounts? In some Arab countries, we have a lot of increases in the prices. But in some Gulf countries, in Saudi Arabia, for example, and some of the other, so some supermarkets provide a lot of discounts in the food. How does it look in Senegal and other African countries? In Senegal, prices are usually higher during the month of Ramadan. There is no discount. It stays as if they were before Ramadan. There is no discount. Sometimes they go higher. And there an increase of some of the foods in Ramadan? Yes, some foods prices are higher during the month of Ramadan. Also, regarding the question that asked about working hours, in Senegal, evening hours are cancelled in the primary schools. Also, regarding those who work in Mina, Dakar, they reduced working hours for women so that they go early to their homes in order to prepare iftar for their families. Um, Other than this, working hours are not changed. Dr. Widat, about prices in the month of Ramadan, prices that are higher, especially fruits. Oranges, for example, oranges seems as if it is gold at the time, but people buy a lot of oranges. Is it imported or local? No, it is local. Oranges and pineapples, and also local, and also bananas are all year long available. Maybe we need more monitorship regarding pricing, and this is not very strict. We need more strict monitoring for pricing, so people think that this is a good opportunity for them to increase their profits in the month of Ramadan. Maybe you consider this as it's a practice that is not good, but at the same time, oranges, tomato, the profits and oranges and tomato, it's simple trade, but also in the month of Ramadan, people by selling oranges by three times or four times the price, they can improve their level. So this is also a good thing. I buy orange, but those who sell orange in Ramadan, they benefit, and this is something good for them. So prices sometimes are higher, yes. Yeah, more demand, so that higher prices. Yes, and there is no authority that have strict monitoring for an oversight for the pricing. In Libya, the milk price does not change. There is good oversight for the pricing. Anything that is basic for Ramadan doesn't change in terms of the pricing. Well, unfortunately, this is not the case for us, but Alhamdulillah, we can live with it. Dr. Najat, Dr. Najat, go ahead. Dr. Najat, yes, peace be upon you all. Can you hear me? Yes, we can hear you very well. I'm very happy to be with you here in this discussion that is very important regarding a lot of relations between what we heard in this uh, discussion panel regarding the Arabic and the African aspects. I want to participate with three important points, points if you allow me, Dr. Muhammad, if you allow me. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yes, we can hear you. Thank you, Dr. Udad. I am blessed and I'm honored to have met you and Dr. Aisha and all the colleagues, Mr. Uh, Al Hassan, and I have taught some of my students from Nigeria, and Mr. Ahmed Al Hajj, and also Mr. Idrisas. Thank you very much. Idrisa did not speak because maybe he had a problem, a technical problem, a technological problem. Thank you, and I'd like to thank those who gathered this elite of speakers who gave us a lot of their knowledge and experience regarding the interplay between the habits and customs and the interplay between the Arabic and African aspects in the month of Ramadan. Mr. Muhammad, thank you very much. Thank you for King Faisal Center for Research in Islamic Studies, and it is a center that provides a qualitative research because, as I see it, it opens the knowledge window on Africa and this continent. This continent is rich in its culture, rich in its diversity and its originality as well. After thanking, and you deserve a lot of thanking, but I think that I have to congratulate and appreciate your efforts, and they're worthy of that. I want to add something to what was mentioned, which is to speak quickly about the mechanisms that shed the light on this interplay between the culture and the norms and habits and customs in the heart of culture between what is African and what is Arabic during the month of Ramadan. These mechanisms, in fact, are uh, going through the history of Africa, the history of Arab and Muslim countries. These are mechanisms that go back to the trade journey and the scientific and knowledge journeys and the Hajj journeys and the organized scientific journeys and also the embassies that were there between different Arab countries and also tourism and Sufi uh, schools of religion that enriched this transfer and interplay and also the common history which is the and also the occupation era. This refers to ideas related to this interplay, developing this interplay and give it to its existence because it exists indeed and it is capable of developing all the time. So tonight we have new methods of interacting, and this can save a lot of time, can develop these relations, and can grow this interplay. Another point that I want to mention regarding some of the questions, maybe not questions, but maybe some comments and interventions. Dr. Jat, because our time is finished, so if you speak in brief regarding the problems that we need to look at, as far as I heard from what is common between what's African and what's Arabic in the regarding the month of Quran, the issue of Ramadan and the youth. It was mentioned by some of the speakers regarding the knowledge part and also the issue of the habits and customs and celebrations. To what extent can it be limited to or specific to this area of Ramadan and the month of Ramadan, and how this area regarding the month of Ramadan and the creation of a common African and Islamic culture that can found the building of values and the making of a civilized person and human and finding a bridge between what is African and what is Arabic. And thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much, Dr. Najat. Dr. Najat from Tunisia. If any of the colleagues wants to add something to what was mentioned by Dr. Najat, because our time has finished, unfortunately. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Ms. Najat. I want to add to what she mentioned. She mentioned youth, and I wanted to mention. Also, the phenomenon of marriage on weddings in Ramadan. It's a blessing month, so a lot of wedding occasions in the month of Ramadan, seeking the blessing of Ramadan, and that the man finds a woman, a wife that prepares iftar and suhoor for him in the month of Ramadan. So many families agree on having the wedding festivals and and this month of Ramadan, seeking the blessings of this Ramadan. And this is for us something good in the month of Ramadan, and it is more religious and more respecting the abilities of Ramadan and the rituals of Ramadan. Before Ramadan or after Ramadan, they spend more money, and what need, they choose Ramadan because it's more simpler and it's more respectful and close to people, and they choose Ramadan. So uh, there are more families now who have weddings in Ramadan. Although regarding youth, you don't guide people who like who you like, but Allah guides whoever He wants. There is a lot of differences in many areas. For example, some of the bars and some of the areas, we find that indeed that people respect the month of Ramadan. They respect it and they appreciate it. Even some people who are not Muslims, when they visit, they find a Muslim next to them, they don't eat in front of him. This appreciation and respect for the holy month of Ramadan is the most important thing in the month of Ramadan. After Ramadan, we find this change that happens. And well, Alhamdulillah, we found that Ramadan comes and it's 1 month of the year, but young people are better in the month of Ramadan. They go back to their spirits, to their souls, to their nature, to their um, uh, coherence with their self and religion. This is something that's very impactful, and there's something good about the month of Ramadan. Some people go back to their nature before Ramadan, but uh, this month corrects a lot of the behaviors of the people in the month of Ramadan. Thank you, Dr. Dr. Khadija Raji from Morocco wants to intervene as well. Yes, peace be upon you all. Dr. Khadija, peace be upon you all. Thank you very much. I'm happy that I finally fixed the technical glitch that I faced. Thank you very much, and appreciation to Dr. Muhammad and all the colleagues, the professors who have spoken. My intervention, and I have listened to all of the speeches by the colleagues. And while I was having iftar, so the Ramadan African spirit was with us on the table, listening to our colleagues. And I'd like also to mention two important things. First, is related to the importance of shedding the light on the habits and customs during the Islamic occasions, especially in countries like the countries where the respected speakers come from. This is important because we need to appreciate the people, the efforts, not only the official efforts of the governments, but the individuals and the governments and the societies and the charities and the organizations and individuals for Muslims in their African societies. With their practices and celebrations, they contribute to the rooting of Islam in these far areas. And as mentioned by the, this is something important because we know that these areas have a lot of uh, mis- missionaries for Christian impacts. So we need to confront these movements of spreading Christianity there by supporting these celebrations and these efforts by Muslims in these areas. This is something that is very beneficial. Another thing that I want to speak about, this is very important, the role of social media, academic social media like this topic, all the youth, spontaneous ones that introduce the customs and habits in a youthful manner that is beneficial. And this is something that is very important in order to spread bridges and to build bridges and to make ends meet. People who participate in preparing tables for iftar, preparing decorations for Ramadan, and giving to orphans and to less fortunate in African countries. We need to spread these experiences so that their impact is spread all over the African societies in order to revive and reproduce the same celebrations in other areas where they were not there. This is important, and this gives passion for Islamic rituals to be available for children, for youth. These are things that are important, and this is related to what pilgrims did before when they went to pilgrimage and they came back transferring knowledge and culture to these areas when they spend a lot of time at pilgrimage. Now, these young people through social media can do the same thing. They do the same thing, even unconsciously. They transfer knowledge and they impact and get impacted. This is something that is important because it helps scholars and societies and charities and specialists and official areas and reaching the biggest segment, especially the youth people. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much, Dr. Khadija, Raji, and we can end our meeting because we 7 minutes beyond our timing. So thank you very much. This is something that is very important, and this represents one of the most prominent uh, aspects or goals of Islam, which is to know each other as peoples. Thank you very much. I'd like to thank our colleagues from Benin, from Senegal, from Niger, and from Ghana, and I'd like to thank those who intervened with us from Morocco, Tunisia, and other countries of African continent. I'd like to thank those who asked questions from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and from Egypt. Thank you very much, and we hope we see you again in other events organized by King Faisal Center for Social Islamic Studies. This is Dr. Muhammad Sabetli. Thank you very much, and we hope we meet you again in other events. Thank you very much, and peace be upon you all. Wa alaikum assalam. Assalamu alaikum. Wa alaikum assalam. Wa alaikum assalam.